Welcome back to Luxury Cruising. I'm your host, Krystal Sodaitis, and we've got an amazing episode for you here today because Joelle is going to tell us about her trip on Celebrity Apex in the iconic suite. Joelle, please tell the audience anything you would like them to know about you.
Hi, everyone. My experience was indeed iconic, so I'm thrilled to share it with everyone today. My name's Joelle Burlat. I am currently retired from my original gig. I work a bit with my husband. My husband works as a travel advisor, and I plan a lot of our personal travel to take advantage of that. And that's my second chapter right now is really focusing on travel, a whole lot of cruising. So this podcast is right up my alley, and just happy to be here.
Yeah. Well, we really appreciate you being here. And we can link that because your husband Jeff was on the podcast. He talked to us, I believe, about river cruising and Alma Magna river cruising. So we will definitely link that in the show notes if anybody wants to hear that episode. So take us back to what made you decide to book this ship, suite, itinerary? What was it?
Well, first of all, we are big fans of the Edge class ships generally. So that's Celebrity Apex is a part of a series of celebrity ships that they call the Edge class, as the Edge was the first of those ships.
Mhm.
We're a big fan of those ships, and a group of us, we usually travel with a fairly decent sized group of friends. And a group of us decided to take a cruise to Ireland and Iceland. So we were really looking forward to that. It was one of our friends' milestone birthday cruise.
Mhm.
And as such, we kept talking amongst ourselves, and she kind of threw in there, I'd really, really love to have a really neat suite. And so we started playing with it, and we figured out the iconic suite was available, and we just made it happen. The iconic suite, just to start to lay out the layout, it does hold 6 people.
Mhm.
I would say it really would hold 6 adults comfortably, though we had 5.
Yeah.
And we talk a little bit more about the details of that, but we did have 5 of us in there, and it was very comfortable, and it was an amazing experience.
Wow, that sounds amazing. I love the idea of booking a really luxurious suite for any kind of milestone. Maybe it's a birthday, maybe it's retirement, maybe it's your first grandchild. I have to be picky about the milestone, but I love booking a suite. And especially if you know it's coming, like a birthday or a retirement, you can book it far in advance and really get a good price and start paying it off in segments. And then if you have friends that you are comfortable sailing with, then you divide it among multiple different families, and that really brings down the cost without impacting the experience. I have never been on an Edge class ship. I'm dying to get on an Edge class ship. Um, Tell us, have you sailed the other classes of Celebrity, either a Solstice class or I'm blanking on the other. There's 3 main classes of ships in Celebrity: Edge
Yeah,
class, Solstice class, and could be Millennium class.
Millennium class, maybe? Um, the only other class I've sailed, I did sail Celebrity Reflection. I did a short little cruise on Celebrity Reflection, which is one of the oldest class, whichever one the oldest ones are.
Yeah.
We've been on all but one of the Edge class ships. So the Edge class is their newest class. They just came out with, I think Excel is the latest one that's
Yeah.
going to be coming out any day now. It may have just launched. I'm not even sure. But, the thing about the Edge class ships that I find different than many other ships, including, for example, we've sailed on the newest class of Norwegian, some of those kinds of things. The way they prioritize space is a little bit
Mhm.
different. First of all, it's got a huge central area, and a lot of ships have a huge central area that's designed to be beautiful and give you this soaring sense of space. On the Edge class ships, it's a big martini bar. It's just
Mm.
massive, and there's always entertainment in there, and there's just a lot going on. A lot of the restaurants center around there. Um, so it really gives you a hub to the
Yeah.
ship that I
Yeah.
enjoy a lot.
Yeah.
And
So
I've been fortunate enough to be in the retreat a lot. And I know you've had another guest to talk about the retreat on the Edge class ships. And so that's a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, I mean, the retreat, they're in the older ships, they've sort of carved out the retreat, from something that was there previously. But yeah, I've heard that in the Edge class, at any time a cruise line designs a ship with an experience in mind, it's definitely gonna be better. And I've been on 2 Solstice class celebrity ships, and the martini bar is sort of, like, off in a corner and kinda small, but it sounds like it on the Edge class ships, it's more of a centerpiece area, where in that central maybe where the central staircase is, where they might have some dancing and they might have some, music, and then the martini bar is there as well.
Absolutely. It's right in the center. And, once an hour, the bartenders are doing the cocktail style
Yeah,
show and
yeah.
dancing around. And there's just a lot going on. And there's, again, usually live music and a ton of seating. And it just lends a really nice vibe. And the rest of the ship is great. There's really neat places to get away if you want to be somewhere quiet. There's things that are tucked away. As usual on the big ships, the art pieces are really
Mhm.
interesting and,
Yeah.
all the little bells and whistles that come with those big ships. But again, as many people have said, the upside of the big ships is you have a lot going on, right? You have all
Mhm.
these neat things, you have shows, you have all the restaurants, you have all the things going on. The downside of the big ships is crowds and potentially sometimes just a lack of personalization.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
would say, that's the first thing that the iconic suite really gives you in spades is that
Yeah.
personalization experience.
Yeah. So tell us about the suite.
So the suite is 2 full bedrooms. So it has a master bedroom with these windows that look out over the ocean. It's at the front of the ship. Part of them are in the master bedroom, part of them are in the living room. So the living room has an entire wall of windows.
Mhm.
It also has a huge, I think it's 900 square foot balcony deck area
Yeah.
that sticks out from the front of the ship. So if you look at the front of an Edge class ship, you'll see 2 little points coming off the side. And
Mhm.
those on the first set is the bridge. The second set is the balconies of the iconic suites.
Wow. Are there only 2, one on each side?
Yes, one
Awesome.
on each side. That's it. Of course, the balconies have their own hot tub. They have a massive seating area. Then in the living room, which is very large, you have a dining room table for I think 8.
Mhm.
Have a sofa area that is what converts into the 3rd full bed if you have
Mhm.
other people in there. You have a butler's pantry with a full-size refrigerator, as
Oh.
well as a coffee machine and just an area for your butler to prepare things. It's amazing. You have a wet bar where you have bottles of spirits that
Mhm.
you can request which ones you want. And then there's the second bedroom, which is the size of a normal bedroom in any other suite.
Mhm.
Basically, it's still a big bedroom.
Yeah.
We have the second bedroom and a full second bathroom, and I believe there was also a powder room for guests,
Yeah. Is
a very large suite.
is the 2nd bedroom, does that bedroom have windows, or is that more of like just a large interior?
No, it does have windows. It does not have a door onto any outdoor space.
Yeah, well, that's nice. When I think about my two-bedroom aqua theater suite, that 2nd bedroom was basically a smallish interior stateroom. So, the
Right,
fact that the 2nd bedroom has windows is really something, unique and good, especially if you are a couple and you have another couple friend, or even just a not a couple, another person who you obviously feel close enough with these people to share a stateroom with. Again, it splits up the costs, and they don't feel like they're really having to settle like, "Oh, I'm in this interior stateroom." At least they have a window, they have their own bathroom. It's very
right.
nice.
It makes it a little complicated when you try to share a suite with just friends. You start trying to do the math. How do you deal with
Yeah,
that? If the master is so superior, right?
yeah,
It
that's
it
right.
just makes it a little complicated. But we did also have someone sleeping in the living room, and the butler would come in every night and convert that sofa into a bed. And I climbed up there at one point, and it was extraordinarily comfortable. I would have had no
Yeah,
issues sleeping there from a comfort perspective. Obviously, you're in a shared space, so anyone with
Mhm.
a key to the room could enter at any time.
Right, yeah,
But the way our demographics worked out, it was fine for us.
yeah. So, I love this idea that there's a butler's pantry and the butler could prepare stuff for you. So, what sort of stuff did the butler prepare for you?
So the butler in the iconic suite was amazing. Oddly enough, we ran into him in the retreat lounge. I believe it was the Beyond, like an entirely different ship.
Yeah.
Probably a year later. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's Gene, because he was just so amazing. So, one of the things about the iconic suite is that you can order food from any of the specialty restaurants
Mhm,
into your suite.
mhm.
The iconic suite is obviously one of the class of suites that there's 3 or 4 of the top suites on Celebrity that are included in the price, unlimited specialty dining,
Yeah.
and then in the iconic suite, you can have them bring in any of those things into your suite. So, we did have him serve a full breakfast in the suite. Um, Probably shouldn't say this, but he went ahead and took care of a few other people that weren't even in the suite. He went ahead and
Mhm.
brought it in at
Yeah,
normal room service for us.
yeah,
So he did that. My friend's milestone birthday, we had a party.
yeah.
So we had
Nice.
15, 20 people on the ship, and we
Yeah.
met a few other people while we were there. I mean,
Of
this
course,
room
right?
would easily hold 30, 40 people
Yeah,
comfortably.
yeah.
So,
And you have the whole deck.
yeah, and well, for us, I'll get into that, but the deck was not as perhaps as useful as it could have been, but he put together a party for us. And by a party, I mean we had decorations, we had a big wine bucket with bottles of wine in it.
Yeah,
We had a seafood tower from Raw on 5, all the snacks, all the accoutrements. It was truly iconic, no pun intended, or lots of pun intended. But
yeah.
it was amazing. And he did all sorts of things beyond my experience with the butlers on Celebrity generally. So, for
Yeah.
example, one of my friends got seasick. One of the friends in the suite, the one that was
Mhm.
sleeping on the sofa in the central
Yeah.
area, got seasick. He showed up with 3 or 4 things and said, "This is what the crew does when they get seasick." So he shows
Yeah.
up with a plate of sliced green apples, drug whatever the seasickness drugs are that they have
Right,
on the
yeah.
ship, ginger ale, and all the things. So he just showed up with it.
He just noticed. I mean, I think that's part of what makes great service, is they notice things, and, really provide for you without you even having to ask.
Absolutely. That is 100% the case, is they have much more intuitive service in my experience. The service was much more intuitive than that of the butlers in this normal retreat area on Celebrity.
Yeah.
Just have
Oh,
less cabins to care for.
yeah, and I'm sure that they also select. I mean, I'm sure Celebrity also selects who they want to be the butlers for the retreat, and, are there other suites at that level that have that same level of service, or is it just the iconic suite?
I don't entirely know. I do believe that, for example, the Edge Villas, which
Mhm.
are these really cool suites. We went into one just to see it. They're two-story. They have an entrance onto the retreat sundeck. So the position of the suite is a little bit different. And I think those may have something close anyway, but they
Yeah.
don't have the space to do some of the stuff.
Mhm.
This thing had a Peloton. I did use it once just to
Wow.
say I did.
The living room area or on the balcony? Like, where?
It was in the living room looking at the windows.
Wow. That's pretty cool. Like, you don't even have to go to the gym. You could just wake up and you probably have a better view.
Oh, yeah. The view was amazing.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's fantastic. Anything else, in terms of amenities in the room with the butler?
Um, Let me think about that. He would show up with all the things we needed. He refilled all our water all the time. The mini bar was 100% kept stocked all the time. He'd bring snacks every day in the afternoon, asked what we would like snack wise, and bring snacks every afternoon. So, when we had to tender,
Mhm.
he would meet us in our room with our entire party at whatever time we wanted and take us down and put us on a tender. So that was pretty amazing. So, one of the most interesting service items that the Iconic Suite provided, and I believe the other high end suites have this as well, is whenever we needed to tender, we would let our butler know the approximate time that we wished to leave the ship, and he would meet us in our room and guide us down to the tender area, putting us on a tender without any waiting in line, just put us
Yeah.
straight on a tender and we could go from there.
That's pretty sweet because, like, that is one thing that I really dislike, which is the whole tendering process. And to be able to have someone just escort you out there is a beautiful thing. So,
That's
that's a good segue to the ports. And so you said this was Ireland and Greenland? Is that where you went?
Iceland.
Iceland. And so was there anything that you did, anything in the ports, either a celebrity excursion or on your own that made this trip particularly luxurious or a particularly luxurious excursion?
I don't know about a particularly luxurious excursion. I really do think that one particularly luxurious experience that we did do on this cruise, and I've done it a couple of times, but if anyone has not been to the Sky Lagoon in Reykjavik,
Mhm.
they should. The Sky
Yeah.
Lagoon is an amazing spa experience in Reykjavik that I would highly recommend. The other thing we did was in Prairie, which is on the
Mhm.
very northern end of Iceland. We went whale watching up there. Nothing particularly luxurious about it, but it was
Yeah.
amazing, and I would
Yeah.
highly recommend the experience.
Yeah. So what about this spa do you love?
So, Iceland is known for these natural springs.
Mhm.
So, the one that a lot of people have heard of is called the Blue Lagoon, which I've been to as well. It's very natural, meaning the water's kind of looks like what it was, right? They've added a building, they've got some changing rooms, but it's a very natural type experience. We
Mhm.
also went to one up in the northern part of Iceland that was much smaller. I can't remember the name of it, but it again was attempting to be very natural. And there's a lot of value in that.
Mhm.
But the Sky Lagoon in Reykjavik has taken a different approach. They've essentially built a luxury spa around the water. So
Mhm.
you get in the water is almost a Disneyfied version of the natural landscape, meaning there's concrete boulders. And that sounds kind of cheesy, but it's very well done.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
so you're in the natural waters, and then they have a building where they have the salt room and the snow room and
Mhm.
a dry sauna with a
Wow.
massive plate glass wall.
Yeah.
I won't even call it a
Wow.
window, I'll call it a wall
Yeah.
that looks out at the Icelandic landscape.
That sounds beautiful. Yeah.
So it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, so it sounds like the other 2, I'm hearing rustic, and this one is more luxury.
Yes.
More tile, maybe a little marble, and, the
E
other is more wood and not so many giant walls.
exactly. No walls at all.
Wow, okay. Yeah, now I can see why it would be such an amazing experience. Beautiful. And yes, I'm a big fan of the whale watching. How was the chop? I have only done whale watching once. And
Mhm.
on the little catamaran that we went, it was really choppy and windy. I don't know if that's whale watching everywhere or just where we were off Portugal.
So oddly enough, the chop when we were whale watching wasn't so bad, but the one thing I did want to bring up is the chop on the cruise overall was
Yeah,
pretty rough.
yeah.
And one thing I will say about the iconic suite, I loved the suite. I would love to do it again. I would not do it again in the North Sea
Yeah,
because it's right at the top of the ship.
yeah.
So whatever chop there is, you're getting the worst of it.
And you're heading into the
And
wind. There's nothing
and
protecting you.
you've got this massive outdoor space that was
Yeah.
essentially unusable because of the volume of the wind.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Yeah. So that's a good tip. Like, know before you go, consider your itinerary and if you're actually going to use that space because, yeah, especially if you were there. What time of year were you sailing?
It was in June, so the
Oh, so
weather
yeah,
itself was fine when we stopped, but the
yeah,
wind when we were at sea was so extensive that it was
yeah,
very
yeah.
windy out there.
Good to
We
know.
got out there and got in the hot tub once just to say we did, but
Mhm.
it was pretty unusable out there.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but good to know. Good tip.
Yeah.
So let's pivot to the food, which is a lot of people's very favorite topic.
Yes.
And you mentioned that you could have any specialty restaurant set up in the suite by the butler, right?
Mhm. And you can also
Is
just go to any of them, included in your fare.
Yeah. And are there any restaurants that are just for suite class guests that you could
Yes.
go to? Tell us about those.
Yes. So celebrity, the Edge class ships, and really, I think all of them now they've retrofitted one, but on the Edge class ships, it is in a space that was designed for it. So
Mhm.
on celebrity Edge class ships, the suite class restaurant is called Lumine.
Mhm.
Celebrity has a partnership with Danielle, I think it's Danielle Boulud. And so they have always two or three items on the menu that are inspired by Danielle Boulud. They have a very, I'd say, upscale menu. They also have classics that are available. So they always have, you can always just get a steak or, a piece of salmon or whatever, the normal sort of upscale fine dining
Yeah.
type dishes. When you sort of read the boards and all those good things, I think some people think the food is a little bit frilly. I like it a lot because I'm kind of a foodie and that's my
Yeah.
thing, right? I love a good duck, all those things.
Yeah.
But I think folks, once they know, okay, I can always get a nice steak and I'll be okay. But the service in Lumine is top notch. I really enjoyed it. By the second day, you walk up, and if, I know they see your picture on the little screen or whatever, but when
Mhm.
you walk up, it's hi, Miss Verlat, welcome. Thank you for joining us again today. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
The Edge class ships also have a restaurant that is specific to the spa class rooms
Mhm.
called Blue, that is celebrities' version of sort of healthier cuisine. I
Yeah.
enjoy Blue a lot. Suite class guests are allowed to go to Blue on a space available basis. But of course,
Mhm.
if you're in the iconic suite, that space is
There's
usually fairly magically going to be available.
Yeah, there's always gonna be space for you.
Um, oh,
So
yeah,
that's good to know. And can you have breakfast, lunch, and dinner at either one of
yes,
these? That's
yes.
really nice.
And then they
Uh,
also have lunch out on the pool deck in the retreat pool deck. So that's suite class
oh,
as
yeah,
well.
yeah,
They have, but it's a little more casual, but they have a very, very good burger, for example.
yeah,
So if you just want, hey, I just want to hang out at the pool and have a good burger, they do have a limited menu out there. The Edge
yeah.
class ships also have some of my favorite specialty dining
Mhm.
ever that I've
Yeah,
run across in all my sojourns.
yeah. Tell us, what are they?
Well, so they have a couple of places that I just love. Number one is they have this thing called Le Grand Bistro.
Mhm.
It's only there at lunch. At night, it turns into La Petite Chef, but at lunch, it's called Le Grand Bistro. It is a French bistro concept. Some
Mhm.
of the best lobster bisque I've had ever.
Wow. Mhm.
My
Yeah.
friends all laugh and say if we are going to go on another Edge class ship, we're ready for our lobster facial because they serve it under puff pastry and you sort of pop open this puff
Yeah,
pastry
yeah.
and you get this
Uh-huh,
big
yeah.
waft of lobster
That sounds
wonderfulness
amazing.
coming on your
Yeah,
face.
yeah.
Um, but that menu, everything about that restaurant, I just love, and it's only at lunch, so it's kind of interesting, and the price point is very reasonable. Also, given that it's
Mhm.
only at lunch, I haven't been back on an Edge class ship since this change occurred, but my understanding now is it's a la carte, so you literally could just go in there and spend $8
Right.
on a bowl of lobster bisque as opposed to
Yeah.
having to buy the whole meal. Um,
Which sometimes that's
so
all you want for lunch on a cruise ship.
Absolutely. I love Raw on Five, which is
Mhm.
their sushi slash raw seafood, raw bar
Yeah.
concept. They have a wonderful seafood tower that, quite honestly, I don't pay for that often when I'm just
Right.
on an edge class ship normally, but when all of it's included, pretty amazing. They have
Yeah.
sushi items that are quite tasty. So
Yeah.
I enjoy that restaurant. Um, and then on the newer Edge class ships, so not on the Apex where I did my iconic suite, but on the Beyond and the Ascent, and
Mhm.
I assume now on Excel, but I don't know that for sure.
Yeah.
They have a concept called La Voyage, which
Yeah.
is super high end fine dining inspired by Danielle Boulud. Like it's supposed to be a
Yeah.
Danielle Boulud restaurant that
Mhm.
is phenomenal. I mean, up there with the Michelin
Michelin
experiences I've
stars.
had on land.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, does it serve just like continental fare, like beautifully prepared steaks and seafood, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I would say it's more sort of French-esque, but not like
Mhm.
super, super French. But it's not trying to compete with the steakhouse concept. The food's not trying to compete with the steakhouse concept. So it would be a beautifully prepared, smaller cut of fish with a
Mm.
intricate sauce kind of thing.
Yeah, wow. Love it. That sounds amazing. Um, Anything else specifically about this sailing or the ship or Edge class that you would like people to know about that really makes it a luxurious experience?
I guess the other thing we have not talked about is the spa on the ship.
Yes.
The spa on the Edge class ships is quite extensive. It is sort of like the Sky Lagoon. It has a lot of those rooms, right? So it has the wet sauna, the dry sauna, it's got a lot of those nice rooms. It's got a wonderful relaxation area,
Yeah, the
uh,
thermal suite.
the thermal suite. Yeah. So I
Can I
really found
can
their
I ask you
spa to
this
be quite
thermal suite?
luxurious.
The thermal suite on the Edge class ships, do they have a window? Or are they like in? Because I've seen some thermal suites where you're inside, there's no window, and that's just not how I wanna spend my time on a cruise. Heated
I
lounger or not,
agree.
I don't wanna be inside of a, like, completely tiled room.
Yeah, I agree. My recollection is it does. I want to apologize if I'm wrong. If anybody's hinging their decision on this, go find it online. I
Yeah, but
believe
it
that
makes
it
sense.
did not as
Yeah,
extensive as like the new NCL ships because that is
yeah,
pretty extensive.
yeah.
But it does, yes. And they also have this make your own scrub thing, which if you're in the
Oh,
iconic suite, all
I
of
love
that's
that.
included. And it has like these little,
Y
they help you put the items in your scrub to take with you,
yeah,
which is really
that
neat.
sounds nice, like the scents or, like, the orange peel or are you gonna do a
Yeah,
salt scrub or a sugar scrub or a combo? Ooh, that sounds like fun.
exactly. Yeah, they have like a
Very
little
nice.
cart. That was a lot of fun.
Because I know when you book an aqua suite, which has some spa perks, are there any spa perks with the Icon suite?
I mean, you have unlimited access to the thermal
Mhm.
suite, so all the general areas. It
Yeah.
does not include any spa services.
Mhm. Oh, good to know.
Though
Ask
clearly a
you
butler can help you book them.
oh, for sure. Again, the magical space will appear
Yeah, exactly.
if needed. I didn't ask you if you partook in any of the entertainment. Edge class ships are known for Eden, which is sort of like a unique but sort of
Yeah, it's
multi-dimensional
kind of
lunch, yeah, multi-sensory kind of performance space.
yeah. So we definitely went to some of the entertainment. We went to the stage shows. We always made sure to catch a couple of the live music acts when they were
Mhm.
entertaining in the martini bar area, for example. I don't remember if we went to the Eden show. The Eden shows vary a lot by ship. And the
Yeah.
newest, the XL, I think they've removed Eden, which is interesting.
Mhm. At the bazaar. I think they renamed it to the
Yes,
bazaar to
yes.
change it based on where you're sailing, your itinerary.
Which I can't wait to see. That's a super
Yeah.
interesting concept as
Yeah.
well. I gotta go soon.
So for any of the shows, like, is there reserved seating? Or do you have like a concierge or anyone? I'm just thinking like a Royal Genie on Royal that, or
Mhm.
even some of the Star, maybe Sky Class and Star Class have some reserved seating. Do you have that as a part of your benefits on the Icon Suite? Icon Suite?
Yes, yes. I think it's that whole upper set of suites, the 4 or 5
Hmm.
top ones, so the Edge Villas, the Royal Suites, and then the Iconic Suite, and maybe the
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Presidential. Those have reserved, space, and for a couple of our butler would take us down there and
Yeah.
make sure we were seated, make sure we had a waiter to get what we needed, those kinds of things.
Yeah. That's amazing. Well, I love hearing about this suite, but let's move away from this particular sailing. And I'm just going to ask you a couple questions I ask everyone.
Okay.
And the first is, how do you define luxury?
So we've touched on a couple of things. And I think that luxury for me is, first of all, getting what I want within reason. So, meaning rather than picking from a menu, being able to ask someone, here's what I would like to have. And as long as I'm not being ridiculous, they can make that happen.
Hmm.
So that's
Yeah.
the most luxurious thing to me. The second thing is not standing in line. So, like you said, the tenders,
Yeah.
all of that, the feeling of not standing in line for things, especially when you're somewhere that there are a number of lines here and there, that feeling is quite luxurious.
Yeah, I love that. And did your experience in the Iconic Suite meet your expectations on either one of those or both?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it did meet my expectations. I'd say especially on, well, really for both, I think, given the celebrity product. The one thing I will say, and I don't want you to take this as a criticism, but since you did bring up the genies, you
Hmm.
probably know we have been not in a suite with a genie, but with someone that was in a suite
Hmm.
with a genie.
Yeah.
And the genies do have a bit more power than the
Yeah.
celebrity butlers, even the ones for the iconic suite. Those guys
Yeah.
just have a
Yeah.
lot of power. Our butler couldn't make the elevators go without stopping.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. The genies really have a lot. They really can make your cruise dreams come true.
Exactly. So there were limits to our butler's, what he could do, but I still think within reason, it was a pretty luxurious experience.
Absolutely. Tell me, do you have a dream cruise?
Oh gosh, let's think about that. I really want to do Seaborn and do the caviar in the surf. I don't know why that has stuck in my head the way it
Right?
has, but
I love that. I am obsessed with Seabourn just for that. Like, I want to have someone bring me champagne and caviar on a surfboard. Like,
absolutely, I really want to do it.
yeah. So don't take me to Iceland on Seabourn. It's
No,
got to
that's
be
the
the
thing.
Caribbean.
When we look at Seaborn, I'm literally Googling, do they do the caviar in the surf in this location?
Yeah, yeah. And I've had people on the podcast that say like it's champagne and caviar 24/7, and they say like, yeah, 24/7. Like I'm in my cabin, I need something to eat. Like they call up their, butler, whoever, they bring up champagne and caviar. It's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's really high on my list. As you've probably talked to Jeff about, we've done some
Yeah,
fairly interesting cruise experiences, but that's kind of one that I'm really focused on. Um, a couple of the others that we've done recently. So, like, I really wanted to go to Antarctica, and we did that.
yeah.
So,
It's amazing.
so I got to focus on a new location dream, I guess.
Yeah, or experience, just like you said, like an experience or doing I think it's either Silver Sea or Seabourn, I can't remember, that have the submarines. Like I would love to be on one of those ships that has the submarine experience where you can actually go under the water and see like those are the sorts of things that it's not just about the location, it's the experience sometimes and the ship and the service and all of that.
Yeah, we
It's an
did a
amazing thing.
submarine.
Yeah. Like
We actually
I
did
would
a
love to do that.
submarine on Scenic. Scenic has a
Amazing.
submarine.
Amazing. Well, I would love to have you back on the podcast to talk about that if you are open and willing to tell us about your scenic experience. I won't put you on the spot right now, but you have an open invitation to come back. So, do you have any luxurious cruising plan? Like, what is your next luxurious cruise experience on your list?
So our next cruises are two things. Number one, we are doing the Panama Canal on Windstar, and we have never
Oh,
cruised Windstar before. So
yeah.
we are doing the Panama Canal on Windstar in December. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then in March, we are doing on Scenic's river product. We are doing a scenic river cruise. So looking forward to that one as well.
Amazing. Well, you are more than welcome to come back and tell us about any of your Windstar or scenic experiences. I really thank you so much for joining me today, telling me about your iconic suite. And to the listeners, thank you for being here. And until next time, I wish you safe and luxurious cruising.